Here in Spectrum News, we are uncovering the state of mental health in America. Our goal is to focus on solutions and hope. We spoke with Dr. Joshua Gordon, the director of the National Institute of Mental Health, who said we all have the power to help each other. Here's more.
When you are aware of someone around you who you think might need help, reach out to them, talk to them, ask them how they're feeling. And when they say, I'm okay, ask them, how are you really feeling? And if they are struggling, help them get the help they need. And that help might be from a mental health professional, but there are other first steps that they can take, talking to a loved one, a trusted adult, or their primary care doctor to see what resources might be available to help them through that period of struggle.
Life-saving solutions don't have to be complex, as we are showing you throughout the hour. Sometimes they're as simple as an app. State by state and community by community, brave leaders and savvy experts are investing in new tech solutions. In Ohio, a high school football team is working with a new app focused on the mental health of athletes.
And we think that sports is a great avenue to have those conversations and connect with these young men in a way that they might not normally feel comfortable talking about.
Two coaches have been working together to introduce players to Restoic.
You know, how to center myself and how to cope with my stress, that I can perform better out here.
The app focuses on the intersection of mental and physical health, offering techniques that can be applied at game time.
We're hoping that by combining the app and football, that we can teach health-related skills that these kids can use as they become, men throughout the rest of their lives.
Now to Florida, where a Tampa mom created Luna Joy.
When I was going through 2 back-to-back pregnancies, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who took my insurance or how far I would have to travel.
The goal? To help women get diagnosed for disorders early in their pregnancy and connect them to intervention services and support groups.
I think no matter how much you prepare whenever having a baby, it comes with a lot of unknown.
And in Kentucky, plans are in the works to copy an existing app from Utah called Safe KY. If legislation moves forward next year, students, parents, and teachers could use the crisis intervention app confidentially. Supporters hope it will be an outlet, helping with suicide prevention, depression, anxiety, and even school safety.
This is designed as a crisis intervention tool to be used in the moment so that we can access kids when they're having these thoughts or feelings and get them connected to services.
And finally, to California, where researchers are beta testing a new tool that could help prevent suicide among our veterans. Ray Williams has more.
These days, he's leading projects in tech and media production. But in the past, U.S. Army veteran David Cobbins has led teams through Iraq and Kuwait.
Especially on deployments, I saw issues with mental health. The Army provides resources. They provide mental health specialists and various resources to help people. But the Army and the military in general is a reflection of our civilian population, and people don't always feel comfortable talking to mental health professionals or leadership or anyone else.
According to the most recent report by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the suicide rate for veterans was 57.3% higher than for non-veterans in 2020. Nationally, the CDC says there were 1.2 million suicide attempts that year.
One of the biggest issues we have in Los Angeles for veterans is access. There are multiple VA hospitals, but you can imagine there are a significant number of patients, and there just aren't enough clinicians, nurses, doctors, enough staff to actually help the large population we have here.
But a new way of addressing access and combating suicide rates is emerging from the University of Southern California Institute for Creative Technologies. And it's right through your smartphone.
I am your battle buddy.
Their app called Battle Buddy is an AI-driven virtual human companion that can check in, get to know you, keep your company, and most importantly, deliver suicide prevention messaging and connect you to care in a crisis.
I'm a virtual human.
Battle Buddy can use wearable sensors like a smartwatch to detect sleep, exercise, and other signals of overall well-being to see when someone might be at risk. Sharon Mogzai, Associate Director for Medical Virtual Reality at USC ICT, has been at the forefront of Battle Buddy's development as its project leader.
This project aims to have an impact in 3 areas. The first being assessment of the potential for suicidal ideation. The second is prevention of a suicidal crisis. And then in the event of a suicidal crisis, timely and effective intervention.
Sharon says embracing new ways of delivering mental health care can be vital in closing the gap.
We need to leverage new technologies to reach all veterans, including those who don't access VA resources.
How have you been feeling lately?
Battle Buddy recently received $1 million in funding from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
I feel like I'm talking to a real person.
An early version of the prototype is currently being demoed before getting user-centered feedback from veterans to fine-tune its capabilities prior to release. And David hopes its reach goes far and wide.
For me as a veteran, I hope that this tool ultimately saves lives.
To save a life through a smartphone is close to becoming a reality.
Check out the information on your screen. There are special resources just for our veterans. Help is available 24/7 at veteranscrisisline.net.
Spectrum News 1 is Texas strong. It's not just the Friday night lights, the skies you need to see to believe. It's the people, the communities, the character. That's what makes us Texans. From our experienced boots-on-the-ground teams to a new perspective on the news that matters to Dallas-Fort Worth, we bring you the inspiring stories that leave a lasting impact across our communities. It's what makes us proud to call Texas home.
I won. I won.
Want the speed to finally defeat your mortal enemy?
Oh, there he is! I won!
Only Spectrum gives you Speed Boost for the fastest wireless speeds in the palm of your hand. Now only $29.99 and your next line is free. Only with Spectrum Mobile.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one mission, and that is to serve our community.
And that's what we're doing here in Dallas-Fort Worth is we're covering people's stories. We're telling a person's story in a way that's relatable to who they are.
It's my responsibility to know the issues here in Texas, but also, more importantly, to know who it affects.
We want to make sure that you know what's going on in politics and weather and entertainment. You're going to get storytelling about the Dallas-Fort Worth community. Your evening on Spectrum News 1, weeknights starting at 5 p.m. Central. This hour, we've heard from veterans in California, lawmakers in D.C., mental health providers in Texas, experts from across the country, and more, all in an effort to understand what the state of mental health in America really is. Mental Health America's Chief Research Officer, Teresa Nguyen, is back with us now. We have taken a close-up look at many themes from your State of Mental Health in America report. Now what? Where do we go from here? How do we put the research into action?
You cannot undervalue the importance of people at the community level knowing that their voice matters, right? As an advocate, as somebody who works in policy and works in research, even I know that the system feels so confusing. But if something comes across your city, comes across your county, your state, in the ballot that focuses on mental health, your voice matters, your vote matters. You know, perk up your ears a little bit and think about the ways that this vote does impact our community. It does mean more access to mental health care for people. And that's one thing you can do that's really meaningful.
With any empirically based research, we have to talk about what wasn't covered.
Our report is just looking at healthcare.
This hour, we've heard from veterans in California, lawmakers in D.C., mental health providers in Texas, experts from across the country, and more, all in an effort to understand what the state of mental health in America really is. Mental Health America's Chief Research Officer, Teresa Nguyen, is back with us now. We have taken a close-up look at many themes from your State of Mental Health in America report. Now what? Where do we go from here? How do we put the research into action?
You cannot undervalue the importance of people at the community level knowing that their voice matters, right? As an advocate, as somebody who works in policy and works in research, even I know that the system feels so confusing. But if something comes across your city, comes across your county, your state, in the ballot that focuses on mental health, your voice matters, your vote matters. You know, perk up your ears a little bit and think about the ways that this vote does impact our community. It does mean more access to mental health care for people. And that's one thing you can do that's really meaningful.
With any empirically based research, we have to talk about what wasn't covered.
Our report is just looking at healthcare information, right? So healthcare policy is a very small, nuanced thing. That's one small piece of a puzzle when you think about mental health care. I think the future has to look at school-based services. We talk about meeting people where they're at, looking at workplace policies, looking at school policies and funding to just make sure that schools and workplaces have the resources to provide the care that we want to make students feel active, engaged, and ready to be good, productive, and engaged people in society. And that's really important. We're entering this new space where I can think 10, 15 years ago, there was no way we would talk about these issues in a space like this. And so to have the opportunity to bring that to people, and if there is someone in need, I would say that resources are out there. And if you're struggling, that's something else too that I want to share, is that, you know, help is there. I want to make sure that people get access and information as soon as we can, because that's true empowerment, right? That I am personally educated and I know that I can handle these situations.
Absolutely. And again, that I am worth the effort. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Cross.
We want to reassure you that with help, it can get better. Our Jonathan Gregg introduces us to a Kentucky woman who found hope and healing after decades of severe mental illness.
Okay, here's the cover.
These drawings,
this is Lemmy Makes a Friend,
are too good to save until the end of this story.
And I drew everything out in pencil and then inked it.
Because why wait showing what brings so much life into April Jeffries' world?
The artwork is happier. I've grown so much in the past 3 years, in just 3 years.
The hallways at Bridgehaven Mental Health Services is more like a gallery of Jeffries' work. She says she's always been an artist, but for most of her life, her drawings were by a different person.
So most of my art prior to Bridgehaven is extremely dark and gory.
So now, let's talk about the darker stuff.
The past 20 years, no, they creeped along and they were miserable. And I was not happy. And I was still having my symptoms that whole time. I still have symptoms. In fact, I had some hallucinations last night.
Jeffries is living with several diagnoses, including schizoaffective disorder, which involves significant mood swings, and for Jeffries, psychosis. Depression, borderline disorder, and hallucinations have played a role in her life. But Jeffries is more confident than she's ever been, confident in her ability to navigate her mental health and proud of the person she's become.
I started recognizing, I'm doing this now. Maybe I should say something. And that's the key. Opening your mouth and saying, I need help.
In large part, help came in the form of Bridgehaven, its staff and programs, including individual and group therapy visits 4 days a week. In addition, Jeffries received her peer support specialist certification through Bridgehaven and now is guiding other members of the program living with similar mental health disorders.
And that just makes me incredibly happy and fulfilled, because it means I've made a difference. That's all we really can do, is make a difference in somebody's life.
And of course, there's therapy through art. Jeffrey's life is filled with more color than ever before, but dark tones are still there, just like for anyone on a mental health journey. And that's okay. It's okay.
I don't want to quit life. And I started seeing that light at the end of the tunnel for what it was.
And on most days, Jeffries feels like she's made it through.
Thank you for spending this hour with us, focusing on the state of mental health in America. We know life is uncertain, and we've all been forced to deal with more than we could imagine. But there is hope. You are stronger than you know, and you are worth every effort to make positive change in your life. It is not too late. You are not alone, and you can do it. Take care.